Hi guys, it is June, what even is the date? It is June 25th today, and I have done a piss poor job of reading my June TBR. I still have 5 books left from those prompts that I haven't read, and usually I'm so good at reading my TBR, but I just kind of branched out and read what I felt like, along with kind of filming here and there for other vlogs. So I have 5 books left to read and I have 5 days, so I'm definitely not going to read all of them, but I would like to read as many as I can. And I actually have 6 books because I didn't pick a classic for my prompt, and I have had the same classic sitting on my nightstand for the past 2 months plus this month, so I need to read it. So this is the stack we're working with. I have my Kindle because I have the short story Death Row by Frida McFadden on my list, and I'm going to read that because I have not failed at reading at least 2 Kindle books every month yet. So I'm not going to fail now. So Death Row I'm going to read. Short story should be quick. This is my classic, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. I've wanted to read for a while and I'm ready, so I don't know what I'm waiting for. And I think it's so pretty. So I'd like it to go on my bookshelf instead of being with my little classics tucked away in the corner that I haven't read. And then we have these 4. So The Miseducation of Cameron Post, I think I need to read because it's a library book. So I'd like to just be able to bring it back. I own the rest so I can read them anytime, and I'm scared that if I don't read this one, I will take it off of my TBR cart, bring it back, and never read it. I picked this for a very specific prompt. I think it was for a book set in the 90s. So those are the 3 that I am for sure reading. And then we also have Iron Gold, The Silver Chair, and Unravel Me that I haven't even looked at yet. My brain is telling me that if I finish those 3 books and still have time, I'll probably read The Silver Chair because it's the second last book in the Narnia series. So I'd like to get that done, and it's short. And I hate reading books for shortness, but I also hate carrying books over past the end of the month. And who knows, maybe over the weekend I will get a reading bug in me. I don't have many plans. I have a couple of evenings that I'm busy, but other than that, I probably have a lot of reading time. So who knows? I tend to read the Red Rising books in 1 or 2 sittings anyway because I'm kind of obsessed with them. That's what we're sitting with. It is Wednesday. It's 10 a.m. I should be working. I'm home alone for a little bit and I'm never gonna get good light in this house today. It's so dreary, so I thought I should just film this now and then get on with my work day. So I'm not gonna start yet. I'm gonna start after work today. Let's do a quick check-in in the only window that seems to have natural light in my house right now. I started by reading Death Row. It took me like 45 minutes. It's already been a couple of days. It felt like a waste of 45 minutes. It's a short story. I think it's like 60 something pages. I didn't like it. I was just kind of annoyed and confused the whole time. I don't generally prefer a dual timeline story, and this is a dual timeline done in 60-ish pages. So it just was kind of confusing and felt kind of like whiplash. And then I didn't mind the plot twist, but then there's an epilogue that kind of ruins the plot twist and makes it less fun. I don't think it needed an epilogue. I don't know. I don't have much to say because it's a short story. There's a woman who's in prison on death row. She's accused of killing her husband and she's trying to tell everybody she's innocent. She's like, I didn't do it. And then she sees him alive. And then you kind of go through what that means. And I didn't care for it. I rated this 2 stars. It's the first thing I've ever read from Frida McFadden, and based on the Goodreads reviews, people agree with me that it's not her best, but these seem to be people who like her other books, so maybe I should still give her a chance. It's also not really the genre that I lean towards though, is like a thrillery type book. I think I should read something full length from Frida McFadden that has better reviews. Sad Place to Start wasn't my favorite. I'm about a third of the way through The Miseducation of Cameron Post, and I am loving this book. I think it's so good. I would say it's like, it says young adult fiction. Okay, yeah, it's very general fiction, coming of age story. It's set in the 90s, which is why I chose it for my June prompts. Sorry, I hate library books that you can't get rid of this crinkly sound. So right now I'm in like 1992. It started in 89. So you're following Cameron Post, like it says, and she's 12 years old and her parents have just died. So her grandma was staying with her while her parents were away on a vacation, and they got in a car accident and they passed away. The first thing she thinks is, thank goodness I won't have to tell them that I like girls. So far where I'm at, she is now almost 16. I think it's been 3 years. Yeah, I said 1992. And I just want to give her a big hug. She's being raised, where does she live? One of the M states. Montana. She's in Montana, where she lives, obviously, in the 90s, in a lot of places still. It is sadly frowned upon, and people are mean, and so she's keeping it a secret, and her aunt moved in with her, and her grandma stayed, and now she's being raised by a super religious aunt who takes the religiosity part of it to a whole new level. Yeah, I just want to give her a hug. It's a good read because the writing is actually super beautiful. It kind of reads as though herself as the narrator is reflecting on her past and she's hopefully grown out of it, is kind of the vibes I'm getting. And now we're watching her friendship with Coley blossom, and she has a crush on her and she has a boyfriend. Coley herself has a boyfriend, and Cameron just doesn't really know how to act around her and hasn't really told anybody and isn't sure what to do. And she's really just coming to terms with herself because she lives in this super religious community. When she was 12 years old and her parents died, she blamed herself. She's like, I brought this on them. And then as she grows up, she kind of learns that that's not true, but she also doesn't want to tell anyone she thinks that because she doesn't want them to disprove it. So she's living with all this trauma in her head and nobody really knows how to talk to her. And I am 190 pages in. So I'm wondering if it's just going to end when she graduates, maybe? Or maybe even less than that. I'm not sure what the timeline looks like, but I know that in the synopsis it says something about her aunt. Let me just word it the way that it words it. Ultra-religious Aunt Ruth takes drastic action to fix her niece, bringing Cam face to face with the cost of denying her true self, even if she's not exactly sure who that is. So I'm really nervous for that. I don't want to get to that part because it's already making me sad with just her having to live with who she lives with and trying to figure out who she is without her parents there, because now when she reflects back and thinks about them, they actually seemed like really understanding, accepting people, and her aunt just isn't that. I fear it's going to make me even more emotional than I already am. But enjoying the storytelling. Like, for the writing itself, I think it's really wonderfully done and I'm visualizing everything really well. Sometimes maybe a description of something is a little bit long-winded. I see what's being set up and I can appreciate it for what it is. And I think I might need to watch the movie after. Anyway, I'm gonna read as much as I can. It's 2:30. If you watched my vlog from a couple of weeks ago, the washing machine is broken and we are having games night with our friends tonight. So we're like, hey, can we bring some laundry? So we're actually gonna drop off a load. They live quite close. So we're gonna put a load in the washing machine and then walk the dogs and then switch the load and then come home and eat dinner and then go there for games night. So I think I have about another hour of reading today and then we're gonna leave and start that evening. So it's 2:30 now, my work day's over. I'm gonna read till about 3:30 or 4. Whatever I don't finish tonight, I'm just gonna stay in bed Saturday morning tomorrow and read, because we officially have 3 days after today till the end of the month. A couple of updates. I finished reading The Miseducation of Cameron Post yesterday. I really enjoyed this book. It continued to be sad, and then I actually looked up if it was based on the author's true story, and she is from the same town that this is set in. It like kind of is loosely based on it, I guess. I couldn't find anything distinctive that said, yes, this is her life story. So it's not. This is a fictional character, but she used her own life experiences to write this novel, which I think made it just that much more gripping, right? Because it felt so real. There were points where it did drone on a little bit longer than it needed to again. So the first half, you're kind of following Cameron as she figures out who she is from like age 12 to 15. It's just kind of her living her life. And I think that that part could have been shorter or different. I don't know. She loves watching movies. She rents movies all the time from video store. That's kind of her thing. She has a VCR in her room and she just eats up every movie she can find. It actually made me want to watch a lot of old movies that she talks about in this book. I love the 90s, so I feel like there's so many movies that I have yet to explore from that era. I just love to watch things I've already seen. I have just comfort movies, and then reading is kind of where I get my new material, but maybe I should branch out a little bit. I would say pretty quick after my update the other day is when her aunt and grandma have this intervention for her because someone tells them what she is going through, and they send her to a school meant to convert you back. I think that's when I looked up if it was real because it felt so real. And then the second half of the book is her at the school. I think that part was appropriately long. Maybe it could have been a tiny bit shorter, but it was all important. She made some wonderful friends there. I think Adam is my favorite character in this book, and I wish there was more of him. Adam, Jane, and Cameron kind of form this trio of friends who have each other's backs and support each other through what they're going through, because they're kind of doing this fake it till you make it thing. They're like, this is who I am, I just kind of have to get out of here. And a lot of stuff happens at that school. I think I can't talk about any of it, but it really is just day in the life of these kids as they go through this school, are taught all of these different things about themselves and saying awful things. The emotional trauma that you would have from something like this is awful. And one of the ladies that works one-on-one with them is awful. I wish there was so much more of this book at the end. Like, I'm so mad that there's all this filler stuff at the beginning. Sometimes in books, I like when it ends and you're not really given answers or an epilogue, but I think in this case, it was really important to have it. I can't even say what I wish there was because I think it would ruin the ending of this book, but I wish there was more. I think in my brain the whole time I was thinking 4.5, and then I got to the end, I was like, oh, this is a 4-star. So I'm rating this 4 stars. I really, really, really wish there was just a little bit more at the end. It kind of leaves you in limbo with most of the characters. So I'm left with a lot of questions and I have to fill in the blanks myself. It has a very movie ending, actually, not really a book ending. So that's that book. And then every time I did something yesterday, and even this morning, I've been listening to Narnia. How far am I? I have 2.5 hours left. I'm halfway through The Silver Chair. And I'm kind of mad at myself for not listening to every single book of this. It's so much fun. I think it's more fun than reading it because it feels like a kid's story is being told to me and it's very whimsical. And sometimes reading it, I'm like, oh, this is a bit slow or this is a bit childish. But listening to it has been really, really fun. So I'm gonna finish it via audiobook for sure. So this one has Eustace, but also another little girl named Jill that he goes to school with, and she's being bullied at school one day and he's like, oh, I can help you. And she's like, well, you were really mean last year. So this takes place after Dawn Treader, which is the last book I read, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. They go to Narnia together and they see Aslan and he gives Jill a job that Eustace is not there to hear. He says, you have to remember these 4 things. And she forgets. And now they are going to be eaten by giants. Like, it's very much the most fairy tale-like of all of the books, I would say. They are trying to escape the giants right now. And she is like, crap, I forgot everything Aslan told me. And now I have to go back and remember all of these signs he talked about. It's been probably 50 years since Eustace has been back. In Narnia years, but about a year in his life. That is what I'm listening to. And I did read the first 2 chapters of Tom Sawyer, but that's all, so I'm not going to talk about that yet. Not much to say after the first 2 chapters. I'm like 25 pages in. It is Sunday. I have today and tomorrow to read as much as I can, and I'm thinking to start Unravel Me, to be honest with you. I also have a video to edit that I'm hoping to put up tomorrow, and I work tomorrow. Hello, it's July 1st. Happy Canada Day. That means I'm done reading my June books. And I lied in the last clip you saw. I did not start. What is it? Unravel Me. I was like, you know what? That would be actually stupid for trying to do this because there's no way I would finish it. And I spent a lot of Saturday not reading, if I'm being honest. They might start playing, whatever. I did read 4 books if you count the short story, which I do. It's still a book. I read 4 books. I read 4 books. The other 2 are already back in my TBR card. I was gonna bring them and I was like, you know what? People saw them already. They know what I didn't read. I finished the classic and that feels pretty monumental because the last 2 months I didn't. I listened to the entirety of Silver Chair, which I'm very happy about. Like I said, I think I mentioned, I might read the last one just because it's the last one, so it feels a little more monumental. But the narrator was great. The voices were wonderful and different, and I knew who was speaking all the time, which was great. So I highly recommend listening to the narrator. I think there's a couple, but I mean, pick your favorite. So I finished this yesterday morning at the beginning of my work day. I'm rating it 3 stars. Because it wasn't great. The rest of the books, even The Horse and His Boy, I think might be better than this book. And that was my least favorite until this one. Because it follows Eustace, which is good because it's a returning character, but he kind of doesn't remind me of the Eustace we left in Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Like, he's completely different in this book, which is a little bit sad. Like, he's back to kind of being annoying, but there's also not enough of him to know for sure if that's what he is. And then Jill is supposed to be our new main character. She is our new main character in this book. I feel like we didn't get enough characterization of her. I feel like she went into this book the exact same way she came out, and I'm a little bit annoyed by that because I love the characterization in the other Narnia books, and I feel like that's a big part of them, and it just wasn't really present here. There is one character, what's his name, who's the best. Puddleglum is the best character in this book. But other than that, I didn't love this book. It's mostly you're following them trying to find the prince. Not Prince Caspian, Prince Caspian's son. And they're going through all of these things. And there's another Wicked Witch, which is kind of fun. And the Silver Chair introduction of what that is kind of interesting. So I'm glad I listened to it. I rated it 3 stars. I am obviously going to read the 7th and final book. It's called The Final Battle. So hopefully it kind of brings things back together. That's that one. I read the first part of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and then listened to the rest while I worked yesterday and did some other stuff around the house. Listening to it was interesting because I was shocked by some racial slurs that suddenly came in while I'm just typing away doing my job. But what I loved about this book is that at the beginning, Mark Twain... Oh, what do you hear? What do you hear? At the beginning, Mark Twain says, hey, all of these stories are mostly true. They didn't happen to just one person, but they happened to me and my friends and all of these people that I know, which I think is so fun. Every time I was like, oh, it's getting a little bit far-fetched or it's getting a little bit boring. I was like, but it's based on true stories, which is kind of cool. So it actually feels like one long story with lots of short stories in between, because the main story is Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn saw someone commit murder. Murder! And didn't really know what to do. And then we're scared of this person and trying to get away from them. And that was kind of the crux of the story, but all of these little other mini adventures kind of intertwine themselves, which is a cool way to do it. But it was a bit boring. And Tom Sawyer, I think, I looked it up, he's supposed to be like 13-ish, they think. He is a difficult character for someone like me to read. I'm too type A for this. He always made the wrong decisions. He always said the wrong thing. He did everything selfishly, and I just was a lot for me to handle. I'm giving this a 2.5 stars, which feels really bad because it's a classic, and sometimes I hate rating classics because of that, but I'm just gonna say it like it is. I have classics that are 5 stars that I love, and this is not one of them. This one I did buy for the cover because I thought it was so cool looking and so beautiful, and it was like $12 at my local used bookstore. Maybe I won't buy for the cover anymore. But it is very nice. Not a super positive few days of reading for me, honestly. I'm glad to have one that was 4 stars, but the rest of these are 3 or under is just kind of sad. So I'm hoping I move on to something better now that it's a new month and my TBR is fresh. See you for another vlog next week. Bye.